Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet, Bava Kamma Daf Samechet Amud Aleph, 68a1. Says the Gemara, we were talking about right now, where Rav Sheshat came and he said, I think that when Rav was saying this, he was half asleep. You remember that concept? As we said, that probably for sure he didn't say such a thing. Because Rabbi Akiva came and he said, what does the Torah say? Because he did the Avirah. Meaning he went and he was mitchazek ba'avirah. Not only did he do an Avirah, he did the Avirah and he went even deeper in the Avirah. So I'm going to say that's only going to be before Yush. Samechet Amud Aleph on the top. Me'ika nishtaresh bechet. He says, if there's going to be nishtaresh bechet through selling it, so obviously we're talking about that it was done after Yush. Now if he says, now if you're going to tell me now that Yush is going to acquire it, so why do you have to pay? He sold and slaughtered his own animal. Meaning, once it's actually his, this is his own animal. If you're going to say that Yush is koneh, remember, Yush means that you give up hope. The guy gave up hope. So if he gave up hope, and that is koneh, which means it acquires, so it's his. So why does he have to start paying Bava Kamma? Because
in his mind it was he was stealing it, or he was
even if he did steal it in his mind, the second that there's Yush is koneh. Again, we're on that hava mina. If you're going to tell me that Yush is koneh, it's his. He knew he was stealing it. For sure he knew he was stealing it. But Yush is koneh. Now, if you're going to tell me Yush is koneh, when you ask him right now, whose animal are you slaughtering? The answer is my own. You're right. He did steal it. But once you say Yush is koneh, now it's yours. So says the Gemara. So therefore, the answer cannot be because he's nishtaresh bechet, because now it's already his. Once it's his, that's it.
It's like somebody who eats.
Amri. So the answer Kidam Rava like Rava. Mipnei sheshana bechet. What does that mean? To answer this question, we're going to say that when he said the kavanah was sheshana bechet. What does it mean sheshana bechet? It says Rabbi Akiva, the kavanah is not that it actually helped him to do with actual taking it out from the owners. The kavanah is that he added another sin to his sin. Meaning, first of all, he stole. And now he slaughtered and stole. Nothing to do with whose possession it is or not possession it is. It's nothing to do with that, right? It's the concept. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, Tashema, right? We're going to come and bring now another proof. When it says utvacho o mecharo, yeah, it says tvacho o mecharo. Matvicha she'ena chozeret, af mechira she'ena chozeret. So just like tvicha, which is said in the pasuk, right, which you cannot come and put it back to its original status quo, so too mechira is she'ena chozeret. So Eimat, so why don't we just say now, Ilema, when are we going to say these words? Lifnei Yush, right before Yush. So Ameinu Chazeret. So why doesn't it go back? Meaning, if right now it's before Yush, why shouldn't it go back to the original owners? If the guy never had Yush, it means he never gave up hope. Give it back to the original owners. Ela rather, Lachad Yush. Now remember, if you already gave up, now makes sense why you're not giving it back to the original owners. Now, if you're going to tell me now that he's koneh, so why is he going to pay? Bava Kamma, right? Shalom toveach, shalom mucher. Again, he's slaughtering or selling his own animal. So answers the Gemara. Kadamar Rav Nachman. It's like Rav Nachman says, "Prat leishikna l'shoshim yom." What are we talking about? He says the kavanah is not to come and say that it's not going to be a mechira, which is not good. The kavanah is that in a case where you bought it for 30 days, what does that mean? In such a case, the mechira goes back because the ganav, he put a time frame on it. So since he made a mechira, but it's not 100% a mechira, so therefore the ganav is not going to be mitchayev to pay 4 and 5 times. So hachanami, so to hear l'shikna l'shoshim yom, that he did it for 30 days. What does that mean? When do we say that a ganav comes and he pays 4 and 5 times? Only if he comes and he steals the animal, and then he slaughters it or sells it. What happens if he partly sells it? What does it mean partly? Not partly in like percentage.
Like
meaning,
rent.
Which one?
It looks like a rent. If it's for 30 days.
No. But he sold it to him, right, for 30 days. What does that mean for 30 days? He comes and he put it, that it's like a rent, if you want to come and say it. It's like a rent. But it's not a real sale. A real sale means I give you, and there's no strings attached. It's now 100% yours. Here, it wasn't like that. So the question was, so if it's going to be like that, so that's why he says the fact that he left something over, it wasn't 100% a sale. If it's not 100% a sale, he doesn't have to pay that. Bava Kamma. Okay? Fine. Meitvei. So now they're going to ask the question. Ganav. Uva acher ugnavo. You remember we spoke about this case. A gonev min a ganav. Somebody that steals from a ganav. So imagine right now you have a ganav and somebody steals from him. Hadishom mishlem tashlume kefel. So the first one is going to pay kefel. Yeah? V'asheni, the second one, eno mishalem ela keren bilvad, is only going to pay keren. Okay, so the first one pays double, and the second one has to pay the what's it called? The keren. Keren is the principal. Okay? Ganav umachar uba acher ugnavo. What does he stole? Keren is the principal. Ashovi. The price of the object.
הוא גנב פלאפון, הוא מביא פלאפון חזרה?
כן.
אז רק הוא ברוך. ברור שהוא צריך להביא, אבל הוא צריך...
אבל רק קרן, לא את הכפל.
אז זה השני.
יודע, הראשון...
has to pay כפל, double.
ראשון כפל, אבל עדיין הוא גנב, הוא לא יודע שהוא גנב מהאור.
זה הגנב מהגנב.
זה שגנב, הוא לא יודע שהוא גנב מגנב. אבל הוא לא משלם לגנב. לא משלם לגנב.
לא משנה.
אבל עדיין הוא עשה.
So the Gemara says the ganav achar ganavo, right? So the ganav uva acher vegnavo. So you have the first ganav, second ganav. The first one comes and pays tashlume kefel. The second one is only going to pay keren. Ganav umachar uba acher ugnavo. Now if he came and he stole it, and he went and he sold it, and then somebody else came and he stole it from the person that bought it. Harishon mishalem tashlume arba v'chamisha. The first one is going to pay 4 and 5 times. V'asheni mishalem tashlume kefel. The second one is going to pay kefel. Yeah? So he says, ganav v'tavach, right? But here you understand who he's paying kefel to the one that he bought it from. One more time. You have a ganav. The ganav came and he sold it to Mr. X. Another ganav came and stole it from Mr. X. So the first ganav pays 4 and 5 times to the original owner. And the second ganav is going to pay to X, Mr. X, kefel. Okay? So ganav etavach uba acher v'gunavo. Harishon mishalem tashlume v'asheni eno mishalem tashlume kefel keren bilvad. Tani mi'amitziata, but what was the middle case?
There's no use.
What?
There's no use.
In which case?
Here there's no use.
1 minute, we'll speak with him. So he says not like this. He says, ganav umachar uba acher ugnavo. If he stole it and he sold it, and somebody else came and he stole it, that Rishon is going to pay 4 and 5 times. Hashani is going to pay kefel. Einmat, when is this case exactly? This is what we're getting to. If you're going to tell me that this is all before yush, so Hashani amay mishalem. So why does he have to pay kefel? Shinui deshut belo yush miika leman damar dekani. Is there exists such a thing that shinui deshut without yush is going to acquire it? Meaning, if there's no yush, the second person never acquired it. Ela pshita, but rather. The achar yush has to be after yush, and that's why the second person acquired it. V'yisal kadai. Now, if you're going to tell me yush koneh, so why does he pay tashri v'chamisha? Dideu dezavim. He sold his own property. The two, and furthermore, the ktani deisha ganav uva. Everyone understood the question. Meaning, the second person came and he bought it from this ganav. Now, obviously, he didn't know it was a ganav, but he bought it. So now, if it was before yush, he never acquired it, and if it's after yush. So why does the first ganav have to pay Bava Kamma? If it's after yush, it's already his, which means that you don't have to pay 4 and 5 times on something which is already yours. It was after yush. And another quick question, look in the Reisha. Diktani Reisha, ganav uva acher ugnavo. When you have a ganav, and somebody else comes and he steals it, harishon mishalem tashlume kefel. The first one is going to pay kefel. V'asheni eno mishalem ela keren. The second one is only going to pay keren. Michdi la'achad yush kaiminan. Are you telling me now that we're talking about after yush? V'yisal kadaita. Now, if you're going to tell me yush is koneh, so sheni amay eno mishalem ela keren. So why is it that he's only going to pay the keren? Right? Exactly. So he says, Elalav Shema Mina comes to teach you that yush is not koneh. And therefore, this is going to be a question on Rav, which means, right, that you should actually obligate him to pay the kefil also, right? Just like what you said before. So he says the question against Rav. So Amar Rava comes and he answers. He says, do you think that this is answered up? Let's see the Seifa now. What does the Seifa say? Tiktani Seifa, Ganav v'tavach. You stole it, and then you slaughtered it. You stole it, and then you slaughtered it. Somebody else comes and he steals it now. The first one, Bava Kamma makes sense. It's pay 4 and 5 times. V'sheni, the second one, only has to pay keren. So he says, "Umika lemanda amar shinui maaseh lo kan." 1 second. Here you have shinui maaseh.
כבר הוא משלם משהו.
Right? Why do you have shinui maaseh? The keren, principle.
השני, הגנב של הגנב.
כן, only the principle. The principle זה הפלאפון. רק זה.
הוא לא משלם...
לא 100. כפל זה כפול. קרן זה principle. זה בדיוק אותו דבר. ו4 ו5 זה 4 פעמים או 5 פעמים. כן? זה נפל לנו משוס. זה לא אותו דבר.
זה בדיוק אותו דבר. שיפ או אוקס.
מה?
4 and 5.
Yes. אלא ברother, לעולם, really באמת כולה לפני ייאוש. Really we're talking about before ייאוש. והיפוך סייפה למציאתה או מציאתה לסייפה. So why don't you switch around then the seifa to the middle case and the middle case to the seifa. Ve'imahaki. This is the way you're supposed to say it. Ganavu machar uba acheru gnavo. If somebody comes and he steals and he sells, and then somebody else came and he steals it, harishon meshalem tashlume 4 ו5. The first one is going to come and pay 4 ו5. Ve'asheni eno meshalem ela keren, and the second one is only going to pay keren. The shinui reshut belo yeyush. Because shinui reshut without yush is lo koneh. It doesn't require it. Ganav v'tavach u'va'acheru gnavo. If right now comes and he steals, right, and he slaughters, and somebody else comes and he steals it, harishon meshalem tashlumei 4 ו5. The first one is going to come and pay 4 ו5. והשני משלם תשלומי כפל. And the second one is going to pay כפל. 4 פעמים או 5 פעמים.
If we say...
אז איך קובעים? 4 או 5?
תלוי אם זה שור וזה.
Okay. If we say that Yush is paying,
okay. He says, so משלם תשלומי 5 והשני משלם תשלומי כפל, דקאים משלמים מעשה. So Rav Papa comes and he says, לעולם לטיפוך. Really, באמת don't change anything. The seifa is bet shamai. The seifa is bet shamai. Te'amri, because they said shinui bimkoma omed. What does that mean? According to Shita bet shamai, the behemah is not going to be acquired to the ganav rishon b'shinui maaseh, and therefore the second ganav is going to be patur from kefir. Right? Why? Because he didn't steal it from the house of the owners. Okay. So says the Gemara, if so, kasha reisha metziat al-Rav. So the reisha, the first case, and the second case is a question against Rav. So Amr Razvid comes and he says, Leolam really be'emet, it's talking about lifnei yush, not after yush, before yush. And what are we talking about? Shenitiyashu ba'alim belokeach velo nitiyashu beganav. They have a yush, right? There it is going to be a yush, which means like this. One more time. When did the yush take place? Remember, yush means that they gave up hope. So if he didn't give up hope by the ganav, so therefore that's why the ganav never really acquired it. So when he comes and he sells it and he does all these things, he's chayav to pay everything. The 4 and 5 times, the kefet, everything. But now all of a sudden, the guy comes and it goes to the lokeach. When it goes to the possession of the lokeach, now the ba'alim, they give up hope. So once they give up hope and it's going to be in the reshut of the lokeach, now belongs to him, to the lokeach. And that's why if somebody comes and steals now from the lokeach, now it makes sense why he also has to pay kefel and all the other things. Okay? Because of that. Okay? Which makes sense, correct? So now says the Gemara. Okay? So we come and we say, Velo tema, we're not going to say right now, Mishum de Ba'ina Yush v'Shinu Reshut, because you need Yush and Shinu Reshut. Ela, but rather, even Yush by itself is also going to acquire by a Ganav. Delo, Mishkacha de Mishal Metarvayu, because they both can't pay the same thing. Haganav Rishon v'Ganav Hashani, right? It cannot be that the Shumar Bava Chamisha that they're going to be paying. Ela Bahachi, this is the only way. Basically, that means the only way where you could have that the two people are going to be Chayav is only if there was no Yush by the Ganav, but there was Yush afterwards by the Lokeh. That's the only case where you could have it, that the guys will be Chayavim to pay everything, right? By both cases. Itmar, it was stated. Hamocher lifnei Yush, if you sold it before Yush. Rav Nachman comes and he says, you're going to be Chayav. Rav Sheshet says, you're going to be Patur. Rav Nachman says, you're going to be Chayav, and it says, Umcharo ma Nachmana. Vazabin, you sold it. I don't care whether it's before Yush or after Yush. Rav Sheshet says, you're going to be Patur. Why? He says, Chiyuvei la'achar Yushu. The Chiyu is only after Yush. Te'ahanu ma'asav, because now it helped your actions. Aval lifnei Yush, but if it was before Yush, that it doesn't help your actions, dunya titvicha beina. We need it just like tvicha. Te'ahanu ma'asav, that it helps the actions, which means this. When you come and you slaughter, did you change something in the animal? Yes, now it's dead. Come on. But when you sell it, did you change something in the animal? No. You can give it back the exact same way that it is. Once you slaughter it, Kaddish, there's nothing what to do. You cannot put it back together, sew it together, and give it back to the guy. You killed it. Come on. There's nothing what to talk about. So he says, just like, right, the slaughtering is at the point of no return, so to the mechira has to be that it's a point of no return, a kavanah that you already acquired it. Because if you already acquired it, now you don't have to return it, because you already acquired it. So he says, if it's going to be before the yush, that means you still didn't acquire it. So Amar Sheshat says Sheshat, how do I know this? He says, the Tanya was learned in the Braita, Amar Rabbi Akiva, says Rabbi Akiva. Why does the Torah say tavachu macham? Why does the Torah say if you steal it and you slaughter it, why does the Torah say you have to pay meshlem al bava chamisha? It says because mamash you did a sin and you went deep into the sin. It was bad enough sheganavta that you stole, but now you stole, right? Kavashta v'yarashta? No. Gam kavashta gam yarashta? No, משהו כזה.
כן. תצטרך מגילה, לא?
כן. זאת אומרת, you did both? You stole it and now you also sold it? Aywa. That's nishtaresh b'chet, meaning that you went deeper into the sin. So he says, Eimat, but when we were talking about, maybe you're going to tell me now before yush. So if it's before yush, there's no nishtaresh b'chet. Why? It's not yours. And you didn't acquire anything. But it has to be after yush. So Rava says it's not nishtaresh bechet, sheshana bechet. You repeated the sin. Meaning repeating the sin means is that every single time that we say nishtaresh, we're changing it to shana. Shana just means that you went and you did a sin again.
By slaughtering it?
Yes, right? And even selling it, even without the actual slaughtering, even by selling it. The fact that you sold it, even though technically you could give it back, and even though it was before yush, you did another sin. And that extra sin is already bad enough. So now we're going to come bring another proof now. It says utvacho mecharo matvicha shena chozeret af mechira shena chozeret. Just like the tvicha, the slaughtering, it does not go back. So to the mechira, it does not go back. So says the Gemara, Eimat, when is this case exactly? Ilema, if you're going to tell me now it's going to be before yush, amayeno chozeret. Why doesn't it go back? Ela, but rather lachar yush. It's after yush. Ushmamina chiyuva lachar yushu. So it comes out that the chiyuv of the Bava Kamma only happens after yush. So Tirgam and Rav Nachman says no. The same case that we answered before at the beginning of today.
So it's not
that he sold it to him for 30 days. You remember that we said that if it was going to give him for a certain amount of time, so it wasn't a real sale. And if it's not a real sale, that's why you don't have to actually pay, right, the 4 and 5 times in such a case. The Afra Bilazar Savar Chiyuve Lachar Yushu. Even Rabbi Lazar also holds that we're talking about after yush. The Amar Bilazar says Bilazar Samechet Mubet 68b. Teida. You should know. Stam geneva yush balimu. Stam geneva, you already have yush balim. Shari amra Torah, but the Torah says tavachu machar meshalem tashumei arba v'chamisha. If you're going to be tovachu machar, you're going to have to pay the 4 and 5 times, right? V'din ma lo yeyash, but maybe you're not going to have yush. Elala mishom amninam, because rather we say stam geneva yush balim. This stam geneva is called yush balim. So it says, yes, stam geneva is already yush balim. Right? What does that mean? When somebody knows that it's stolen, that's it. Not only that, more than that, even today, nowadays, when they catch the thieves, it's still yush. Because the majority of the times, you don't get back your property. You know how many times they come, the police come, and then afterwards they come, they catch the culprits. The majority of the times, they don't get back the property. So it's stam, come on. So says the Gemara, when we're talking about stam geneva yush balimu, meaning that stam geneva, you're not going to get it back. That's it, kaddish. Yeah. So says the Gemara, v'din ma'afagav delo yesh. Are you going to tell me even if the guy does not do yush, you're still going to tell me stam geneva yushu? So amri lo sal kadad. What are you talking about? Dunya de tvicha. It has to be like tvicha. Just like tvicha, when you slaughter, that's it. It helps your actions that there's nothing what to do anymore with it. So to mechira has to be the same thing. If it's going to be before yush, what does it help? So he says v'din ma deshamim. Maybe we heard him. We heard him that he had yush. So Amri, so they said, no, for sure that's not the case. Why? Dunya tficha, matficha le'altaf b'chila has to be done something immediately. Meaning, when we're talking about tficha, it has to be immediately after the geneva. You stole it and you slaughtered it. So do the same thing. You stole it and you sold it. So it has to be then that the ba'alim, they did yush immediately once they found out that it was stolen. So Amaleh Rabbi Yochanan says, Geneva benefesh tochiach, she'en yush ba'alim chayav. The Torah comes and it says you're going to be chayav, a mechira, even if it doesn't help. We're talking about if somebody steals a human being. There's no yush there by a human being, right? Any yush ba'alim. But still, a person is going to be chayav. So michlal, so we learn from here, the Rabbi Yochanan, lifnei yush chayav, le'achar yush mai. So before yush, you're going to be chayav. What about after yush? So Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says you're going to be chayav, and Shaki says you're going to be patur. Rabbi Yochanan says you're going to be chayav because the Torah obligated you whether it's before or after yush, there's no difference. The Shaki says you're going to be patur. Chiyuv lifnei yush, the chiyuv is before yush, but after yush you're going to acquire it. Shelo toveach v'shelo mocher, because you're selling your own, and meaning once it's after yush, it's yours. It's shulcha. Once it's yours, you're selling your own. There's no problem. So 8 ways. So they're going to ask. So ask Rabbi Yochanan to the Shakish, Ganav v'igdish. Imagine right now you're gonev, and then you're magdish et zeh, and then tabach. You do the slaughtering after the gdesh. Meshalem tashlum kefel. You only have to pay kefel, but you do not pay arba v'chamisha.
In Magdish, something that you stole?
Yeah, you consecrated it. Consecrated it. Not that it goes to the betamid, that it goes as a korban. Consecrated. Consecrated means that it belongs to the gdesh. Okay? So says the Gemara, Eimat, what was the case? Ilema lifnei yush. If you're going to tell me it's before yush, mi kadosh, does it become kadosh? How do you do that? It says, ish ki yakdish et beto kodesh, amar Rachmana. Ma beto shelo, av kol shelo. Meaning, it's not even chal the ekdesh. Because you cannot come and take somebody else's thing and make it ekdesh. So how does that work? So he says, Elapshita lachar yush. We're talking about after yush. The tamad the ekdesh, the reasoning is ekdesh, who doyenem meshalem tashbiyah arba v'chamisha. Dechi katavach the ekdesh katavach. Because when he did the tvicha of ekdesh. Aval lo ekdish, but if he was not magdish tavach, meshalem, then he is going to pay 4 and 5 times around. Now he says, Ve'isal kadan, if you're going to tell me now yush is koneh, amay meshalem, why does he have to pay? It's his. If it's his, he doesn't have to pay. So what does he have to pay then? So Elmaleh, he tells him, the Ba'alim were the ones that made the Ekdesh. Meaning the Ba'alim came and they said, you know what? If it's already stolen, it's Ekdesh. Yeah? So now what happens is, so that means the Ba'alim, they didn't give a yush. So the Gemara says, Umi Kadosh, does that help? That Rabbi Yochanan says, Gazal velo nityashu Ba'alim shnehem, enam yochlim lagdish. It's a Gemara mefureshet. If somebody steals it from you, nobody can make it Ekdesh. Not the owners, because it's not in their hands, and not the stealer, the thief, because it's still not his. So nobody could do it. Zeh lefi sheno shelo, the Gazlan, because it's not his, and the Ba'alim, sheno bishuto, it's not in their reshut.
You said not the owner because it's not in his hand.
So says the Gemara, Amre, we said, Hu de Amar ki tznuim. He holds like the tznuim. The Tanam, we learned in a Mishnah, tznuim, manichim et hamaot ve'omrim, that tznuim, which is basically, they suspect that people are going to come, they're going to sell, right? The neta revai, right? Without pidyon, without redeeming it. So they come and they put the money and they say, kol nikat, right? Mizeh, yeh mechulal hamaot ha'ele. Anything what we're going to take is going to be mechulal on this money. So vare chazra keren the ba'alim. At the end of the day, you have the keren going back to the owners. So he says, kishamad badin. What happens? They actually went to the bedin and they testified that the geneva in his hands even before they were magdish the ba'alim. So therefore, since at the time of the edim, the guy still did not modeh, right? So that's why he's going to be paying kefel. Meaning, one more time, the ganav is always chayav kefel unless he admits before the witnesses come. If the witnesses already come and now he's chayav in kefel. But the kefil is, it's only v'yashiv et ha'gazela shegazal that basically if he comes and he's modeh b'knas patur, he doesn't have to pay kefil. But if the edim already come and there was amad badin, now it doesn't help anymore. Now he has to pay the kefil. So says the Gemara, what's the case? If they went and they said, no, go and give it to him, my idya ekdish, what do I care about even making it ekdesh? Even if he didn't make it ekdesh. Nami luchayva, we're not going to obligate him. Tamar Rava says, no, go out and give it to him. Tavachu machar, patur. My time I was reasoning, Kevan de Paskua Laminte, because they already paskined it like that. The Tavachu Machar Avele Gazlan. And therefore, if you're going to come and steal it and then slaughter it and sell it, you're considered a Gazlan. The Gazlan does not pay Arba V'chamisha. It's only a Ganav. Okay? It's not like there's a difference between Ganav and Gazlan. Ganav is behind your back. Gazlan is in front of your face. Okay? There's a difference.
Is behind your back.
Yes. Okay? So says the Gemara.
Gazlan doesn't pay 4 or 5 times.
Yes, he does not. It's
Even
only
if he
the Ganav.
slaughters it.
Yes, only the Ganav. So he says, Chayavat litenno. So then, but if he says you're obligated to give it to him, so Tavach Machar is going to pay Bava Kamma. My tama, what's reasoning? Given the lo paskal minta, because since you didn't finish it, akati ganavhu, he's still considered a ganav. Okay, so answers the Gemara. Lo tzricha, what are we dealing with? The amri le, he says Chayavat litenno, and that's the exact case. That basically says you're obligated to give it to them. These dayanim come and they tell him you're obligated to give it to him, and therefore, if it wasn't for the fact that the baalim are going to come and make it a dish, the ganav would be obligated to pay that Bava Kamma on the tvicha.